Hello, everybody. It's Evolve Global 22's Healing Light Studio. I'm Dr. Debbie, and today we are starting episode 3. So sit back, relax, and let's get into this. Once again, welcome. I appreciate all of you being here and all of those who support my work and find my work helpful. I'm very, very happy for that and grateful for you. If you have been with us for episode 1 and episode 2, you already know what Japanese walking is, when it came, where it came from, and what is actually happening in your body when you do it. The cardiovascular benefits, the blood sugar piece, the joint-friendly muscle and bone work, the nervous system regulation, all of it. So today we are doing the episode I think a lot of you have been waiting for, the actual how-to. Because I can tell you all the research in the world, but if you do not know exactly how to structure this, what pace actually counts as brisk, or how to fit it into your real busy life, none of the science matters. It just stays information instead of becoming a practice. So today, let's make this simple, practical, and something you can start literally today. Here is the exact protocol. Let's start with the structure itself because it is really simple. 3 minutes of brisk, fast-paced walking, followed by 3 minutes of slow, relaxed walking, repeated back and forth for a total of about 30 minutes. That works out to 5 rounds of brisk walking and 5 rounds of slow walking, give or take, depending on how you start and end your session. A few practical notes on the structure. You do not need to start at a full 30 minutes if that feels like a lot right now. The research shows benefits even with shorter total sessions, and consistency matters far more than perfect duration. If you are starting from a more sedentary place, even 15, 20 minutes total, alternating 3 and 3, is a completely legitimate place to begin. You also do not need to be rigid about exactly 3 minutes every single time. If you are walking outside and you hit a natural landmark, a mailbox, a corner, a tree, feel free to use that as your interval marker instead of constantly checking a clock. The structure matters more than the perfect precision. And ideally, this is something you are doing most days of the week. The original research protocols generally had participants doing this 4 to 5 times per week to see the meaningful improvements we talked about in episode 2. That said, doing it 2 to 3 times a week consistently will still get you real benefits. It just may take a little bit longer to see the same magnitude of change. So let's talk about how to gauge brisk versus slow without a fitness tracker. Now, the question I think trips people up the most: how do you actually know if you are walking briskly enough or slowly enough without starting at a heart rate monitor the entire time? Without staring at a heart monitor the entire time. Here is the simplest way to think about it, using what is called the talk test. During your brisk interval, you should be working hard enough that you could speak in short sentences, but you would not be able to comfortably sing or hold a long flowing conversation. Your breathing should be noticeably faster and a bit harder. If you can chat easily without any effort, you need to pick up the pace. If you genuinely cannot speak at all, you have gone past brisk into an unsatiable sprint, which is not the goal here, and is now what the research protocol used. During your slow interval, this should feel like an active recovery, not a complete stop. You are not standing still, and you're not strolling slowly that your heart rate drops all the way back to resting. Think of it as a comfortable, easy pace, the kind of walk you would do browsing a farmer's market or strolling with a friend. Talking should feel easy here, a little more relaxed even than your brisk pace, but still moving with purpose. If you do want numbers-based approach and you have a fitness watch or even just a phone app, The general guideline from the original research is aiming for roughly 70% of your peak effort during the brisk intervals and dropping to around 40% during the slow intervals. But honestly, the talk test is going to get you 90% of the way there without any equipment at all. Now let's talk about some modifications by fitness level and age. Now, you may need to adjust for where you actually are right now because this method was specifically designed to be adaptable. If you are newer to exercise or coming back after a long time away from regular movement, start with a shorter total session, maybe 5 rounds total instead of 10. Walk on flat, even terrain to start, and let your brisk interval be brisk relative to your own normal pace, not relative to what you see someone else doing. Brisk is personal. It is about effort, not speed in absolute terms. If you are managing joint pain, arthritis, or any mobility limitations, this practice can still work for you. The low impact nature of walking is exactly what makes it accessible. You may simply adjust what brisk feels like, perhaps using a slight incline or just a quicker turnover if your steps rather than a faster overall pace, and lean more heavily on supportive, well cushioned, soft footwear. If you are already quite fit and looking for more of a challenge, you can extend the total session length, add gentle incline by walking hills or using a treadmill incline, or extend your brisk intervals slightly longer than your recovery intervals while still keeping the overall back and forth structure. And for anyone managing a chronic health condition, particularly anything cardiovascular, or if you've been told by a doctor to be cautious with exercise intensity, please check in with your healthcare provider before starting an interval-based program, just so they can confirm it is appropriate for your specific situation. This is general education, not individual medical advice. The beautiful thing about this method is that brisk and slow are relative to you. A brisk interval for someone just starting out and a brisk interval for someone who walks daily are going to look completely different from the outside. And that is exactly how it should work. Okay, now for the part that I think actually determines whether this becomes a real lasting practice or just another thing you try for a week and quietly abandon. Here is what I want you to think about. First, attach it to something you already do. This is one of the most well-supported strategies for building any new habit. If you already walk the dog, turn it into your interval session. If you already take a lunch break, use part of it for this. If you already drop your kids off somewhere, see if you can turn part of that drive into a walk instead or extend it by 10 minutes either side. Second, remove the decision making. Decide in advance which days and what time you are doing this, the same way you would block off a meeting. I do not know if I feel like it today is one of the biggest reasons new movement practices fail. Take the decision out of the moment and put it on your calendar instead. Third, let it be imperfect. Some days your brisk interval might generally be a 10 out of 10 effort. Other days, especially if you're tired or it's been a hard week, your brisk interval might just be a slightly faster version of your normal slow pace. That is completely fine. The structure of alternating effort is what matters most, not hitting some perfect intensity standard every single time. Fourth, pair it with something you enjoy if that helps you show up. A podcast you love, a playlist that makes you want to move, a friend who will do it with you. There is no rule that says that this has to be done in total silence and solitude unless that is what you actually prefer. And finally, my friends, track it simply. If tracking helps you, but do not if tracking helps you, it's okay to track. Just do it simply. But don't let tracking become another form of pressure. A simple check mark on a calendar after each session can be incredibly motivating without tipping into the kind of obsessive optimization we talked about back in episode 1. The very thing this whole practice is actually a relief from. So here is your complete practical takeaway from today. 3 minutes brisk, 3 minutes slow. Repeated for roughly 30 minutes. Most days of the week, if you can manage it. Use the talk test to gauge your effort, adjust the intensity to your own fitness level and body, and build it into your life in a way that removes friction instead of adding more decisions to your day. This week, I want you to actually try it, not just think about it. Pick a day, pick a time, and go take your first interval walk. Next time, in our final episode of this series, we are going to step back and talk about why this practice is about so much more than just walking, what it teaches us about pacing ourselves, not just exercise, but in life. That episode is going to bring this whole series full circle. If today's episode gave you exactly what you needed to get started, share it with someone who's been looking for a place to begin that does not feel overwhelming. Subscribe so you do not miss the final episode. I will see you next time. Now go for a walk. Try it out. But before I actually close, remember, you can get more on Patreon for only $7.99 a month. I do early releases of these live stream videos. I also do an anchor for each day, Monday through Friday. There's other information there, other master classes. You have access to me. You get support, not only from me, but from our community. And don't forget to start building your medicine cabinet. A bunch of videos ago, I did a whole video or more on my natural holistic medicine cabinet. And Agara Cafe is a big part of that. That's my functional coffee, my coffee with benefits. There are many videos on that. Take a look. Also, essential oils are my go-to every day to be proactive. And then when I really need something, I have others that I use when I'm coming down with a cold or coming down with something. So please check it out. The links are in the description and the first comment. So now go take a walk. I will see you tomorrow in the circle.